cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
So good to have you here. The second show of 2021. How has it been for you so far? Today seemed to be
Mike's Daily Podcast.
A glum day. Everybody seemed to be glum. But that's my observation. You might not think so, but that's the American nation. It's all about freedom of thinking what you want to think. And Mike Matthews is like leads us sink into some kind of strange show. Like right now, he just did that. So
Mike's Daily Podcast.
My word, I have something here from
Mike's
Eric Swalwell
Daily.
He sent me a little
Podcast
mailer.
Yeah!
It's the 2020 year-end report for the 15th District. Representative Swalwell discussed COVID-19 pandemic response at Washington Hospital Healthcare System in Fremont. He's got pictures of him wearing a mask. Let's see, does he... I'm just doing a quick skim here. Anything about that wonderful controversy that was about him? I don't see anything off the top of my head. Off the top of my eyeballs. I fought to protect democracy by introducing a resolution that affirmed the House's commitment to an orderly and peaceful transition of power, which passed 397 to 5. We'll see how that goes. Isn't there a lot of, like 100 Republican representatives that don't want the peaceful transition of power? So how quickly that has changed. Look, all I'm saying is that I can't find my vacuum cleaner. I had this beloved vacuum cleaner that when I bought my house, it happened to come with the house, and I cannot find it. I didn't care about it until last night. I'm like, I always keep it under the bed. And it was not under the bed. So I blame Eric Swalwell. Now, I don't know where it went.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It could be anywhere. The podcast picture today, I'm going to go back a year ago to when the wonderful Basil the Boxer and I were in Half Moon Bay. And we had a wonderful day. It was actually New Year's Eve a year ago. And it was just such a wonderful day. And, you know, he's been gone now about, I guess, 6 months. Has it been yet? He passed in July. So it's just thinking about him because I think that was the last day. Yeah, that was the last day he ever went to the beach. So I will post a podcast picture of this great guy right here from that wonderful day, momentous day a year ago. Yes, that's right. Running on the beach. I was talking with my lovely lady friend about the reality TV shows and about which is our favorite and which ones are not as embarrassing to watch, which ones have lasted a long time. And we were both discussing Trading Spaces. Do you remember that one? What was her name? Paige Davis was the host. And then there was, I think it might be back actually. And then there was the guy, Ty something. And Ty was, then later did the Extreme Makeover Home Edition. We watched those. Do I watch reality TV now? Well, I guess we got on this topic because on Amazon they got this dog-loving reality show called The Pack or something like that. And it's very like competition. Let's see what it's basically dogs and their owners competing in various competitions around Los Angeles. And it's just so dumb. We turned it off after like half of an episode. But because the dogs don't know what's going on. They don't know it's they're having fun running around and stuff. But then all of a sudden they see their owners all bummed out because they've just lost and they're going to get eliminated. And that's how they say it. We'll see who gets eliminated tomorrow. Like, what are you going to do? Shoot the owner and the dog? Crazy. Why do you got to use such verbiage? So, well, then we were talking about other reality shows that may have been better, that were a joy to watch. Of course, there's The Real World. And someone said to me and my lovely lady friend recently that we can all blame The Real World, because if it wasn't for The Real World, because of MTV, we had this thing called reality television get popular. I guess it all goes back to Cops. Maybe goes back to Candid Camera. But then there was this whole thing where people were, they're being real and showing the real life. Actually, maybe the being real thing got started with that whole slogan. Got started back then. So then along comes our president. He has a big famous reality TV show. I never watched it. But I guess a lot of people did and became huge fans and voted him into office, and now they won't let him out of office. Even though pretty much everybody says he should be out of office, except for the people that didn't want him to lose to begin with. And they're going to always be fighting this. Till we're all dust, they'll be fighting this. But I also thought about this wonderful reality TV show that we used to watch. Actually, it's still on TV, I think. It's called Chopped. And that taught me a lot about cooking. How can you cook something really fast? Well, if it's meat, you want to slice it really thin and you can cook it fast. And then there's this, here's some staples that you should have around the house that are instantly good to have to be able to cook with. I guess I was not as prepared as I thought I was going to be on today's podcast. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been thinking a lot about Huntsville, Alabama lately, and about just how things were there. They were cheaper. The car that I am trying to junk now, and I'm only trying to junk it because the state of California has told me I am not allowed to drive it anymore. In fact, I got a ticket for driving it because I am that defiant. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we were bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And they want me to they want me to junk it. And now I'm going through this whole process of trying to junk it. And I called up this guy, and I thought, for the amount of money, I'm only going to get about $200 for this car. I might as well just pay a little bit more, put it on a truck, take it to Alabama where I can still drive it, and then drive it for another 20 years. But of course, that would be ridiculous. I love California. The people here are pretty nice overall. We do have ridiculous taxes. We do have a ridiculous governor. We do have a ridiculous, I don't know. A lot of things are ridiculous here, but maybe we're just ridiculous. But the thing is that we, when you pull up stakes and decide to move across the country, you're taking a big risk. You're making a big change. And it behooves you to give it your best shot. And then always think, if you're thinking about moving back, and I've known a lot of people that do this, I'll move back. Well, think about what you're leaving behind. Are you happy? Are you going to be happy where you're going? Well, I've been able to adapt and, change and everything and start anew. But all I'm thinking about is think about what you're leaving behind is what I'm thinking about that. Finally, I guess that was it. Hey, look who's outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth, and stuff. Hello, McMatthews, it's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. You were doing this podcast like back when you were still in Alabama. Well, not this particular one, but I did start podcasting when I was in Alabama, yes. And Mike's Daily Podcast, if you've been listening to this show, if you're one of the totally diehard fans, you knew me when I was married. You knew me when I guess I wasn't in, I had taken a hiatus from radio for a while. So I was outside of radio. You knew me then. You've known me through a lot of things. And every year we take stock and go, what can I change? Can I change my health? Can I change my diet? Can I walk more? Can I avoid stress more? This guy got me all stressed out today, and it was only through email he was stressing me out. And it was over some stupid thing that happened. I talked about it last show, having to do with some issues that I had on New Year's Eve. And the guy was just basically trying to throw the whole reason why everything went wrong on me. And I'm like, dude, I was the one that fixed it. Chill. So we take stock and hopefully come up with maybe a better tactic, or maybe we're happy with the strategy that we were doing. There's a lot of stuff that I'm doing to avoid stress that I'd like to keep going doing that. We'll see how that goes. But yes, there's some stuff you need to go, oh, okay, this isn't working. Change that. You have to give yourself a little year-end report like Eric Swalwell did for us and sent us. And then have one of the sections have in big, bold numbers what you have accomplished. Eric has in big numbers, big, bold, brash numbers, 23. And that is the number of Facebook Live Q&A sessions that he held with constituents and experts in health, veterans, benefits, elections, and other topics. You know, anybody can do a Facebook Live. It's the YouTube Live you need like a bunch of followers in order to do. Oh, and while I'm jumping around topic to topic to topic, I'm a little frog on a lily pad, there is a YouTube video that Robert told me about. Welsh on the World told me about. He once we used to have a segment with him called Welsh on the World. Anyway, Mr. Welsh told me about this guy who lives, I think, in Nova Scotia, and he's got a popular YouTube channel. Yeah, I know all of a sudden you've tuned me out because everybody's got a popular YouTube channel these days. But this guy, it's interesting because what he does is he feeds raccoons on the deck of his house, and they show up like at 7 o'clock at night wanting food. All these big, plump raccoons. And he comes out there with a bucket full of hot dogs and hands a hot dog to each one. And the little raccoons with their little hands, they grab the hot dog with their hands and then walk away. And you can almost hear them say, thank you. Thank you for the hot dog, sir. Kind sir. Thank you for the hot dogs. And he also gives them like Hydrox cookies, the Oreo cookies, grapes too, which you never give grapes to dogs, by the way, just so you know. Grapes, garlic, and chocolate, and alcohol. Never give to a dog. But this guy, and I know that because of all the times I went to the vet and waited there, waiting for the vet to come into the little booth that I'm sitting in there with Basil the Boxer, and I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. And so I'm reading the poster on the wall that tells me about what dogs can't eat. So I memorized it because I waited there so long. And then the vet walks in and tells me about all the money I'm going to have to spend on stupid little things. Well, you know, your dog will never have fleas again if you pay this much for a pill that he needs to eat. Well, I've got stuff already that works. Yeah, well, this is better. So that's what we need to do, is take stock in our life to find out what would make things better. 59%. That's the percentage of bills that Eric Swalwell introduced and co-sponsored that were bipartisan. We need a more bipartisan world. We'll see how that goes. Look who else is here. Whoa, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, you're jumping all over the place like a frog on a lily pad. Yes, several lily pads jumping around. So I guess that's pretty much going to sum up today's show. But you can chime in and tell me what you think. 336MM Daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast tries to do and stuff. 336MM Daily. What's that come out to? I always forget. Well, it's written at MikesDailyPodcast.com. So 663-2459. 336-663-2459. Aren't those commercials just ridiculous where they give you the phone number? It's kind of like me giving the phone number, like you're really going to call. Like the guy who's been listening to me since the very first podcast, who's heard me through all of my stages in life. Like he's ever going to call. He won't. Nope. Phone hasn't rang, so he hasn't called yet. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. That was a great lyric in a Mary Chapin Carpenter song called, was it Everything We Got the Hard Way? There's a line in there where she says, if the phone doesn't ring, you'll know that it's me. I have got to end this show with knowing what the song is. Oh, by the way, another great band. Mary Chapin Carpenter is 62 now. Dang. If the phone doesn't ring, it's me. Let's see if that's... Never Had It So Good. Oh, that's a great song. No one's got to tell me it's over. I could see it from miles away. I'm going to listen to that tonight. But I have been also listening to a lot of Triumph lately, the Canadian band. I was telling my lovely lady friend about it. I was thinking of that song, Somebody's Out There Somewhere Waiting for Someone to Come Their Way. Because we were discussing how many songs in the 80s had to do with surveillance. Like Sting and the Police. Every breath you take. And Rockwell, somebody feel like somebody's watching me, and I get no privacy. And that's with Michael Jackson singing on the chorus, by the way. Or that song, somebody's out there somewhere waiting for... Well, maybe the lyrics of that song don't say it, but in the video, he's like watching all these women and stuff. It's kind of creepy. So yeah, maybe you can come up with some other observational type songs that were big in the 80s. Maybe it was because, Every Breath You Take was like the number one song of the 80s. I know that because I was working at a radio station at the time, and I actually was on the air counting down the top 100 of the 80s. Or maybe it was the top 800 of the 80s. I forget. But it was in Santa Barbara, and I was on there till midnight, counting them all down. And number one was that, believe it or not. But you can chime in and let me know what you think. And here's A-Frame to tell you more about how to do that.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
And that was episode 2179, And you can find out more at my website, MikesDailyPodcast.com.